it's impossible to walk away from any one of these shows not reconsidering certain things that you already went into the show thinking. You leave like, I might want to add that to my arsenal now.
Yes, absolutely.
So I see this as a blessing, and I'm definitely appreciative for being added to this platform. So,
our praise is Most High. Shema, you with us? Is that you? I guess that must be
you. That is Shema.
Oh, now it says your name.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't see the name at first. I thought it was as Paul would say, I thought it was someone spying out our liberty. I didn't know who that was at
I seen
first.
him when he popped on.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Cool.
All right. So
I'm
not sure if he can hear us or not.
He might be still trying to get connected.
Oh yeah, get connected. Okay, but we see you, and so. All right. So today's topic is divorce and remarriage, and I know, and every time I do this every single week. Welcome everybody. Love Language Roundtable. Hope you're having a peaceful Sabbath, if you observe, and if not, hope your day is going well. We have been talking about since the show started, first on Blog Talk Radio, now on this Zoom link thing. We've been talking about different iterations of marriage and also dating, and so in order to, I think, try to be as well-rounded as possible, today we're talking about divorce and remarriage, and I'm gonna say this just because I feel like it needs to be said, but a lot of times in the communities that I came from, as far as the faith is concerned, divorce is frowned upon, and it's frowned upon to the point where there's not even a conversation about it. And so I hope that we all could just acknowledge the fact that it is a part of life, and these things happen, and it is not a shot to you personally as a person if your marriage fails or vice versa, but it just needs to be acknowledged and then sorted through for the ultimate goal of the restoration and rebuilding of our families. Our families and our children need us to fall, but to also get back up and to show resilience and accountability. So how are they going to learn any of these things if we don't even talk about things that are taboo? So that's one of the reasons why I think this is a good topic for us to discuss today. So again, it's called Divorce and Remarriage. If you are interested in commenting, we are live on Facebook, and you can comment there. And then there's also always a Zoom link if you go to Love Language Roundtable on Facebook, the page, and go to the event, and then you go to the details, there's a link if you want to join on. You don't have to have your face shown if you don't want to. You don't have to have your voice. You can want to type in there and share your thoughts. But we encourage open communication, and we're going to keep pushing that for as long as we're able to have this platform. This is for everybody. We are nobody. We just want to learn from you all as you learn from us. So again, so it's divorce and remarriage, and the summary is nearly 50% of marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. In 2016, 29% of the Black community were married, and 12% of those unions ended in divorce. So that's roughly 41% of those that were even married. It is no secret that the Black family is in crisis. What are the circumstances that lead to divorce? What impact does this have on parents and children? And how can we use this experience to create an even stronger family? So those are some of the initial questions that hopefully can guide the conversation. But I wanted to allow you all to comment on the topic before we get started. So I'm going to mute myself, and then whoever wants to jump in, you get it.
I guess I'll start it off, I suppose. Okay. Nah, cause it looked like for a second we were playing double dutch. We like trying to.
No, go ahead. You got it.
When who was gonna get in? Yeah. Of course, much like everything that we speak about on this platform, divorce and well, not so much remarriage, but divorce definitely is a touchy subject. It's a difficult subject, and I think just to start off the platform, I think one of the reasons why divorce is a touchy subject and a difficult one is because we've been raised in a society that has given us very romanticized ideas of marriage. Number one, when you control the dynamic of marriage and push marriage, regardless of the ethics involved or whatever, when you're just pushing the institution, therefore by extension, divorce from that institution is painted in a bad way. But I think that before we talk about anything, we have to begin to dispel the myth that that divorce is a bad thing. That's not to say that there are not bad situations in divorcing, but that divorce as an institution is no different than marriage. It can be great or it can be evil, depending on who is doing the conduct, whatever. So I think just to, again, I'm not going to go too far because this is just an introduction that we're giving, each one of us are giving, but I think that divorce has to be, as Ben Ami would say, have to be redefined. Because again, just like marriage, and we've discussed this in many episodes prior, just like marriage, divorce has been defined for us by a people in a system that has never had our best interest at heart. So we have to be weary of that. We have to be very like, okay, we need to reconsider some of these things many of the things that we've been taught about it, because our parents and our parents' parents, they're only passing down to us what they knew and what they understood and what they received. And with all respect to what our parents and grandparents gave us, because, again, they did the best they could, we still have to question these things and say, well, wait a minute. There has to be a reason why divorce is rampant. I mean, this is not, divorce is not just happening willy-nilly.
Right.
There has to be reasons for it. Some of these reasons are justified reasons. Some of them are ridiculous reasons. But I think we have to first reevaluate the institution of divorce and then look at the circumstances that is pushing divorce. And I'm just going to leave it as that. And then, of course, we can, Now I'll mute.
Okay, go ahead. Yep, go ahead. Okay. You gonna go, Isaiah? What you doing, boy?
Oh,
That's why I said
okay.
double Dutch.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm rocking multiple screens at one time. So I probably have the least amount of, I guess, knowledge and information on this topic. Kind of more so here to learn. Divorce, as Tamar stated, is rampant, and we have to investigate why is that the case. And like you said, we have to kind of look at things, I guess, with a sense of duality. Is it necessarily negative all the time for divorce? Is there a place for it? And what will be the reasons? So, I guess how to detail what is positive, the positives and negatives behind it. I know in my family there's been a lot of cases of relationships ending, marriages ending, divorce, and things that fall somewhere in between both spectrums. So I'm also interested in trying to figure out from a biblical perspective, we're always taught that divorce is a no-no. People tend to go to scriptures like what God has put together, let no man take apart, and things like that, which in retrospect we can say, yeah, that's the case. But
Right.
in all of these situations, I guess the question would be, is God really putting that together for it to be long lasting? Or was there a lesson that needed to be taught through that? So,
Shabam bam.
So I'm looking to kind of use this topic today and this show to kind of dive in and see what are those differences and how you guys view it and what you guys see biblically I know this is a show that is based primarily from biblical resources, but we are open to other understandings and viewpoints as well. So, just collectively seeing what you guys in the audience have to say. And I'm going to leave that in. That was kind of a sucky intro, but it worked.
Shema.
Yeah, hear me?
Hey, brother.
What's going
Hey,
on?
How you
Shabbat
doing?
shalom. We up here loud and clear.
Divorce and remarriage sucks. That's my opening statement.
Well,
Can't just work the first time, huh? But
yeah.
I think that it goes back to what I always bring out: self-preservation. Uh, I think that the divorces take place because both didn't preserve self, didn't learn self, and then learn each other before. The good thing can be, the bad thing, no, the good thing could be a sister and or a man getting out of it due to physical reasons, as well as mental reasons or emotional reasons. But to sum it up, divorce and remarriage sucks because now you got to relearn another person. But you learn from that first one, meaning you probably didn't learn the first one. That's why you got that divorce in the first place. So I don't know. I don't know what the question was, to be honest with you. I was bothering with my children. I'm messing with my children. But just based off the topic, we had an all-time high and low in our community. So we got to figure something out. Why are we the ones out of everybody that it seems like has the highest percentage of divorce and remarriage or non-remarriage? And, and we supposed to be the ones that's more invested in so-called Bible than anybody. But yet we the ones get divorced the most. And with that, I yield.
Yeah, and you actually, Shema, there was a good segue to the question because we just talking about some of our initial thoughts on the topic, and I think that's a good segue to the first question is why do we even have what are some of the circumstances that lead to divorce? And I think we all have our personal, because I'll just say I put my business out there because I feel like that's the way we learn, right? Is to be transparent, and that if somebody else hears, then they'll whatever. All right, so I've been married, I've been divorced, I've been separated, I've been widowed, all with the same person. Okay, got married to him twice. Yes, I did. So when the circumstances around our marriage was all of that. We didn't know each other that well when we first got together. I was young, he was young, we was kicking it, and Jacob came, and then we got married. And my husband was at least he was upright with that. He at least he was trying to do the right thing. But he came from a situation where his mother and father were married, but there was an abusive situation. So his first inkling of a marriage was already tainted. And so when we got together, these cycles repeated. And because I didn't have what I needed to do my part. So, we all are guilty, not that we grew up wanting to be broken, but that's what it is. And if we just say it, that's what it is. We allow it to exist, and then we allow ourselves room to be empowered to then fix it moving forward. So got married, and then because of the abuse or whatever, I ended up divorcing him. And the reason why I stayed for so long, right, being in the so-called church, was because I thought I couldn't leave. So that's the first thing that I would like for us to talk about too, from a biblical perspective too, because that has to stop. The shame around it has to stop, because there's much more harm that could be done to the familial unit if divorce is not an option. Like, you think about how we learn different things, and they're taught to our children, and if we don't stem that, then we're just doing the same thing that our parents did, with the Bible in our hands now. And I'm like, oh yeah, we Torah Tanakh, but then we still making the same errors. So got divorced, and then but so anyway, long story short, I pushed forward and I got divorced. And then it was interesting because of the emotional aspect that happened after that. Like, there's still an impact to doing so. So anyway, long story short, I ended up getting back with him because there was still this assumption that you can't really, you shouldn't have done that. You could, So I remarried him, and then whatever happened, blah blah. It got worse second time around. And then he ended up passing or whatever. But so all of that happened, and all that is to say that there are real circumstances behind divorce. And I would like for us to kind of dig in on what are some reasons. And I think and I hate to even ask this question because I know it's a subjective thing. It could be a subjective thing, maybe. But I just wonder, what are each of you all's thoughts on what is a proper reason to get divorced and what's improper? Because I think if we let that out, we discussed that, maybe we could provide context to divorce as a whole.
Well, I want to
go ahead. Yeah, so go ahead. I'm a mute.
I want to jump in. First of all, I think that everyone's looking at the Bible like a fairy tale. They're looking at it like just a book to read, and it says, perfect example. If you use something that's like Romans 3 when it says no one is righteous, right? And then that is like that right there is one of the most major doctrines in Christianity, even in our community sometimes, too, depending on how studied the person is. But that reading that one line, they will take that line and they will apply it to everybody in the world. See, no one is righteous. What was the point of me saying it? Which that's not true, by the way. That stems back from Psalms. You go to Psalms, you'll see he wasn't talking about everybody. Just like when Christ and Jesus or whoever, however you want to say his name, in Matthew 4 or whatever, when he was, I think it's Matthew 4, when he was saying, you hypocrites, you honor God with your lips, but not with your heart, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You can't apply that to everybody. He was talking to a specific group. What is the point of me saying this? When you go to these scripts and it's saying, well, you only can leave if this happens, then you're not taking what you just said before I got on context of the situation. You're not taking the real life. You're not understanding real life situations.
Right.
Ain't nobody just going. I've been in this for a while, not as long as Chief Zebulon, of course, but I've heard people say, "No, sister, you can't leave when this man is beating the mess out of this woman."
Right.
It's a woman, I don't know her name. I'm sure y'all do. That got, I think, got murdered or killed by someone in the truth.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know that one. I'm talking about another time, but shoot.
Oh, okay.
And that was due to her staying. I'm sure she wanted to leave, and I'm positive. I don't even know for a fact, but I almost could bet my life on it that many people were saying just stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we be seeing. Because we take these scripts and we don't apply real life. We ain't looking at it like real life. We ain't looking at it as these people are actually people. This was a real culture. You think they actually told you this woman and or man to just stay if they getting beat to death?
Crazy.
Now, if I'm wrong, correct me, but you best believe I don't care what nobody tell me, and I'm not gonna tell nobody, hey, woman, sister, or man, stay with this person if they are consistently, even I'm the type of person, I'm gonna give you 2 times. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna tell you to sit up here and get beat. So these are my points. I'm gonna give you my advice. So my things I think that are valid to leave. We already know adultery. That's a valid one. If it's up to them though, you know what I'm saying? If y'all could get past that with each other, that's wonderful. You know what I'm saying? If you can. But it's a no-no for me as far as violence. Shouldn't no man put no just be beating their woman just throughout their relationship and all that other stuff. Should no woman be doing that to no man, I think they are able to leave at that point. That's just my point. I don't care what Paul said. I really don't. My thing is the Most High. And I ain't knocking Paul. You know what I'm saying? I ain't knocking Jesus. I ain't knocking nobody. I ain't knocking Moses. I ain't knocking nobody. This is Shema speaking. I don't think a woman and or a man needs to stay if they don't feel their safety is intact. And I don't think the Most High is going to make you stay or punish you for leaving. And with that, I yield. So mine is really more so violence and adultery.
If I may, because I know the brother Isaiah wants to bring out some a reading pertaining to the subject. So I just want, if I can, I just want to just kind of just build off that point. And I think this kind of goes back to, prior conversations that we've had in these platforms that, and again, not to be, because I understand that there's probably people out there who may not be as maybe doctrinally mature to kind of handle these kind of situations, maybe some of the things that maybe Shema says or I say or you or whoever, they might not be at a place where they can objectively say, okay, well, but with that aside, I think when we talk about divorce, and we always go to, because I come from a camp that says, hey, listen, no matter what you believe, you have to go back to the genesis of a thing. And from the genesis, everything else can spring. So like when we talk about divorce, we're always talking about Deuteronomy 24. That's the central text that we're talking about. And I'll just briefly read that, for anybody who's listening outside of the panelists, so we can get some context here. And I'll for the sake of brevity, I'll just read it from the KJV. Deuteronomy 24, verse 1, it says, when a man has taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanliness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorce and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled, and that is an abomination before the Lord. And you shall not cause the land to sin, which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance. So that's the primary text that we're all springboarding from, because that is the actual law given. One of the mistakes that we make is that we read this as a standalone text. We read it and say, oh, see, yeah. We do that, and that's a very huge mistake, because in order to understand the ramifications of this law, there's a lot of other things that happened prior to this chapter that has to be considered. Think about all of the other laws that we were given that describes the wickedness of the people, that describes women attempting to lead her husband into idolatry. I think in chapter 16 or chapter 17, where it says that if anybody comes and tries to lead you into worshiping that which is not the Most High, whether it be your wife, your children, whoever, then the law for that is like, no, you don't have to worry about a divorce. It says they should be put to death.
That's right.
You don't have to worry about divorcing her, because divorce is the least of her problems. She's going to die, or whoever is trying to mislead you. So when you get to the divorce law, there's an understanding that there are things outside of just simply fornication that can call for divorce. Idolatry is automatic grounds for an annulment of whatever the relationship is, period. Now, I understand that there's some people who may look at the polling platform on divorce, and even if you don't go to the polling platform, even just the platform that Yeshua himself kind of pushed and said, hey, that from the beginning, the understanding was that, hey, man, woman, let no man put asunder what the Most High has brought together, and that's understandable. But what we also have to consider is that these are best case scenarios.
Right.
And in a perfect world, listen, hey, I salute Yeshua, no doubt, absolutely. That's a great. No, listen, I mean, I mean that literally. That's a great platform, because most Pharisees had the same platform as well. There's if I may, there's a text in the in the Mishnah in the tractate Gittin, which, go figure, that's the Hebrew word for divorce, where it says that when an Israelite man and woman divorces, the altar in the temple weeps. That the altar that you offer sacrifice on, it cries.
Wow.
And of course, we know it's not, the altar is not crying, but the understanding is that the altar represents what? It represents two things. In a righteous way, it is the place in which you bring your first fruits. If you bring your sacrifice, you bring all of the great things that you're coming to, bring before the Most High and offer and say, for righteousness' sake. And the Most High smells the sweet savor of your offering and blesses you. Or, on the flip side, if you're a wicked bastard, you have to bring a sacrifice to atone for sin.
Yeah, either way.
So the Pharisees, their doctrine of divorce was like, hey, listen, yes, divorce is allowable. Listen, no doubt, it's the law, and we should let that be very clear. But just because something is lawful doesn't mean that it doesn't come without emotional consequences. You see what I'm saying? There's consequences to divorce. So even, let's say, if the one of the spouses committed some type of adultery or some type of fornication or whatever it was, and you say, okay, all right, divorce, boom, it's done. That doesn't mean that your feelings or your attachment to that person ends. You begin to weep because you're like, this should not have happened.
Yes.
Why did you do this to me? Or why did you do this to me? Or whatever the case, these things should not have happened. And so the Pharisees were like, yeah, just because divorce is in fact lawful and should be practiced, the altar still weeps, because that means upon that divorce, that is an Israelite institution. An Israelite marriage is an institution. It is a covenant. That means that a covenant has been broken, even for good reason. It's broken. But a broken covenant is never smiled upon by the Most High. That's why he says that he finds no pleasure that the wicked die, but that they repent. It's like, I don't find pleasure in that, but it is what it is. So it's, and I think everybody's probably in agreement on some level here that while we don't, we don't say, yeah, divorce is a great thing, but at the same time, we understand that these things are necessary, because in real life, most people do not subscribe to the ethics that Yeshua pushed forward. And, because he's giving you best case scenario. He's giving you the best case scenario, like, no, you cannot just divorce your wife just for any reason. That's insane. So we understand that, but we also understand that all of the wise men of Israelite stock who has given their positions on divorce. I mean, you had some Pharisees that were all the way on the other side of the argument who said, hey, listen, if the damn woman burns your breakfast, you can get her up out of your house. Right. Hey, she burns my bread. You know what I'm saying? She's a whore. I'm going to divorce her. It's like, and so when you look at some of the other Pharisaic writers,
and that's who I think he was really speaking on, though.
No, right.
He was, speaking on like that. You can't just, what I'm saying? Go ahead. I just wanted to.
No, right. And that's exactly what's happening. I think, and again, I think we had this conversation, me and Isaiah, we spoke about this previously about, the context behind a lot of the things that we read. Like if you're reading in the New Testament certain things, you got to remember that when Yeshua is speaking, he's speaking from the platform that the things that he's saying are already considered a given, culturally and scripturally speaking. None of the Pharisees were ignorant to what he was saying. They were like, okay, because we all learn from the same school, so I know what you're talking about. But if you don't know the background of his issues with the Pharisees, and that there were two schools of Pharisees, the Hillel school and the Shammai school.
Yeah.
The Shammai school were a little kind of like, they were extremely radical on certain things. Hillel was more of the more reasonable school that said, hey, let's not rush into things. Let's be reasonable. Let's consider this and let's consider that and come to the table with something rational. So you have to understand the background of the things that were occurring in that 400-year period prior to the opening of Matthew, so that when you get into the words of Yeshua, you're like, oh, that's who he's talking about. Oh, that's who he's addressing. So he's addressing the Shammai school, who were like, oh, you can divorce your wife for any reason. He burns your food, get rid of her.
And I wanted to, I apologize, Zebla. I wanted to just, it's a brother that wants to get in. I apologize for cutting you off. I just wanted to add him in. How you say it? Well, hey, brother.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good.
What's going on, man?
Hey, Abed, how you doing? Welcome, bro.
All right, stuff. Thank you. Yeah, I saw the topic that y'all was talking about, and I asked Isaiah how could I get in. So it's nice to meet y'all.
Yeah,
likewise.
Welcome. Is it a bad or a bad?
A bad.
Okay.
Yes, and this is a very serious topic. I'm Muslim, by the way, but like I say to Isaiah all the time, every time we talk, we have real lengthy talks. You know what I'm saying? Because as the what do you call it? The Ethiopian king said to the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what you guys say and what we say is like two rays from the same lamp. So like what you said about the Lord disliking divorce, says the same thing in Quran. In fact, not only does it say that, it says that the devil, he has a throne that sits on a barzakh. The barzakh is a barrier, the barrier that divides the fresh water and the salt water from mixing together. So he has a throne that sits on that in the ocean, and he sends out his workers to go do, mischief, and they come to him throughout the day. One says, I got a man or a woman to rob, somebody to murder, somebody to use usury, interest, and he waves them off. Then one person comes and says, I got a husband and wife to divorce. And he says, enter, meaning, come, you're my man, come sit on my throne today. So he loves divorce. But the thing is, divorce is not a crime in the eyes of the Lord. He permitted it. So why does he love it, and why does the Lord dislike it? And it's because it divides the household. If you divide the household, you divide the community.
That's right.
And that's the whole thing with that shaitan, the devil wants. He wants to divide and conquer. And that's why brotherhood, the ummah, the community is so important. And it starts with the home base. And it's funny because these Caucasians, they know that same method. And that's why they've been taking advantage of us for over 500 years now.
Man.
Divide and conquer. You can take it all the way back to our grandparents, They was getting married and everything like that. They start taking away the jobs. They start taking away the trades, learning the trades in school. They start telling us to go to college instead of learning trades, which college ain't bad. You know what I'm saying? But they started to tell us to do certain things, and they introduce things, like drugs and all that stuff into our community. And, now it's almost impossible for most of us to get jobs, you know what I'm saying, or do anything, and even if we do get jobs and stuff like that, we're not creating something to leave behind for our children. You know what I'm saying? So everything that we're going through
Yeah.
is because of that division. All that division that we're having, and Allah makes it very clear, He does not like divorce. He does not like divorce. And another thing y'all was saying that was beautiful, alhamdulillah, is that just because a certain action is a grounds for divorce does not mean that you just divorce immediately. There's steps. You know what I'm saying? There's steps that the Lord tells us to take, you know what I'm saying? And nobody's willing to do that anymore. Nobody's willing to take those steps. Nobody is people have an agenda now when it comes to getting married. And it's sad because sometimes you don't know because you just rush into a marriage, and sometimes you don't rush at all. You take the time out to know the person, everything, and then you get into it, and some stuff comes up that there was no way to prepare for that. You know what I mean? And it just
Yeah.
it just ends.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's not you or them. That everything we believe in Islam, we believe in something called the qadr, which is the decree of our Lord. And everything that goes on in our lives is based on that decree. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, real quick, there was a debate between Musa alayhi salam and Adam, Moses and Adam. And Moses went to our father and said to him, you're responsible for everything that we're going through. All you had to do was listen to our Lord and not eat from that tree. You know what I'm saying? Not eat from the forbidden fruit, and we would have been fine. So Adam said to him, you're right, but at the same time, didn't our Lord write everything, write our outcomes and everything we're supposed to go through before something that was already written, and that's how it is with us. Like, we go through things, that we have no control over, and it's like that a lot of times in divorce and in marriages. I mean, we go through things that we have no control over, and we try to force it. We try to force it, and I've been there. I've been married more than once, and my intentions was to have longevity, you know what I'm saying? But it just wasn't the decree. I was married for almost 6 years, and I tried to force the marriage when it was very clear that it was a crime for me to stay in that marriage, and God speaks on that too. And one thing you were saying was idolatry. You know what I'm saying? You can't stay with a person like that. You warn them, you try to help them, but if they still want to stay on that path, you have to walk away. And if you don't do that, now you're committing a crime in Islam that's called shirk. Shirk is when you add partners to the Lord. And in this sense, you're adding partners, you're doing minor shirk, you're adding partners because our Lord told us to distance ourselves from a situation like that, and you're deciding that, oh, I'm going to stay and I'm going to make this work. So now you're showing that you love that thing or that person more than you love your Lord.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And once you do that, you curse yourself. And believe me, that curse is real because I went through it. I went through it bad. I had to get smacked in the face a couple of times before I understood, like, all right, I got it. I'm walking away. You know what I'm saying? But my sincerity, I fought for it because I value marriage, just because of the whole thing. Like, my whole thing was, man, I hate it, man. I can't just give up, But you just got to know you have to follow those steps, and you got to know where, you know what I'm saying, to draw. I don't think people know where to draw the line anymore, And I don't think people want to take the steps anymore. You know? And people, the main thing, people just want to do what they want to do. You know, everybody is their own Lord now.
It's hard to hear you. Can I?
And they talk about.
Can y'all hear
Can you
him?
hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, he was breaking up like.
It was breaking up a little bit. Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
that's better.
Okay. I feel like now people are becoming their own lords because they're doing what they want to do. You know, you talk about marriage and the process of getting married to them, not touching a person that's not lawful to you. You know what I'm saying? Look at you like you're crazy. You know, their thing is we gotta test the waters. How I know I want to stay married to him. You know what I'm saying? The Lord didn't tell us to test the waters. You know what I'm saying? The Lord said get to know what you need to know on both ends and get married. You know, and they don't want to do that. They want to date. You know what I'm saying? They want to fornicate. They want to just do everything that they want to do. And then when they do get married, they wonder why their marriages are having so many problems. You know what I'm saying? You can't fix a right with a wrong. You know what I'm saying? The way you enter into it, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes the way you enter into it, you know, is the cause for all the problems. You know what I'm saying? So if you enter into something wrong, you know what I'm saying, you got to change the whole approach. Now you and that other individual, you know what I'm saying, that gotten married now y'all both have to repent and try to correct that wrong together. And that's a hard thing to do because that means both of you have to be on the same page. That's very difficult.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And rare.
And that's a huge problem that we have. You know what I'm saying? And so you looking for a wife, you know, in Islam, it says for men to look for the most righteous woman that he could find. You know what I'm saying? And for women, it tells that, you know, in Islam, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told the fathers, he said, marry your daughters to men who have good deen, good religion, and good character. They have good deen and good character, your daughters will be safe. We don't do that no more. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, people don't even go to the fathers anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We've been talking about this very same topic in previous. I hope you get a chance to check them out because we've been talking about all these things, trying to not necessarily talk about what's wrong, but also try to consider like where can we fix things. And some of us, maybe it won't be for us to fix our own personal whatever, but our children. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to kind of move into how. Unless somebody just wanted to jump in on the topic. If not, I wanted to just talk more about how this impacts our children, because we see the suffering that we go through as adults. We can only imagine what our children are going through, and as a result of divorce. And you know, so I want to just throw that out there.
I think Brother Isaiah. Let me not say think. I know Brother Isaiah wanted to bring out something that he wanted to read to bring some clarity to the subject. So I'm gonna yield to that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Y'all all hit some pretty outstanding points. What I was gonna read was the comment that Abad had laid down in a live chat, but he was able to get on and kind of speak his own mind. So that's fair as well. I'm sorry. We actually, funny enough, it was just another comment made on the live stream. Brother Karen said it would never work if you're not equally yoked. To have come from a failed engagement. So I guess his situation, he was in a engagement that went awry because he wasn't equally yoked. But hey man, I know you wanted to get into the children, but before we go there, I think sticking on what we were just talking about, and I think you all kind of touched on, you know, the issues with not being properly connected, and the importance and knowing who you're marrying and the reasons why. So I think for those who are watching, just watch a few minutes of the commentary, and you'll kind of get everything on that note. So I'm going to yield and just let you get into your point, Tamar.
I was just saying, what's the impact that it can have on children? On children, what have you seen the impact of divorce is? Because like Zebulon said, and several of you have already said that just because a covenant is broken, it's not like you break it and it's like, okay, well now we done. Like, any kind of relationship, whether it's from parents to children, from child, like my father passed away, that it was a problem. You know what I'm saying? And like, my grandma passed away, it was a problem. So any kind of disconnection with family is, whether they alive or not, is it's an impact. So I just wanted us to say a few things, if we can, if we know, I don't know, about how our children. I guess I'll start first. I don't know. Should I take more? Yeah, you should say it. All right. So when I divorced my husband, it was definitely, we ended up having to live in separate houses. So that alone is a change for the children. And so then you have to, like, either way, you have to learn how to coexist. So whether it is in a marital situation or it's in people say, they use the word co-parenting, you still have to find a way for it to work. So whatever the circumstances are around someone's divorce, you still have to find a way to do it. And I think that those are opportunities to stem the bleeding, because being a parent is rough. For those of us that have children, like somebody mentioned earlier about, it's not our intent to get married and get divorced. That's never the intent. I didn't get married to get divorced. I never ever thought that would happen. So we don't come into it with these thoughts, but then we have to still process it if it happens. And so someone's wondering about, how do we clean up the mess? So how do we stem the bleeding? What are some suggestions for those who may be right now going through it? Like, what would you offer them when it comes to securing the children after this happens? So that's the question.
Well, I think one, and we spoke about this in the beginning of this show about making certain things or redefining what it means to be divorced. And I think one of the mistakes that we make is, and we make this mistake even when we had no intentions on it, but one of the mistakes that we make is thinking that the divorce is all encompassing. The divorce is only a separation between the married parties. It is not a separation of the family. The family is still there. Like, there's still children there. The children are not going anywhere. So I think, and this is one of the reasons why you see often when relationships end, whether it's the male or the female, there's always this finality involved, where it's like, we're finished, I don't want to see you no more, and you're not going to see your children, or you're not going to see your children. It's like a all or nothing scenario, and I think that's where we make the mistake, and that is that. And this also goes into why people try to avoid divorce, because it's sort of like investing in a stock. When you invest in stocks, and again, I'm a novice, so I'm not going to act like I'm a Wall Street head or whatever like that. But I'm going to say that. But like when you invest in a stock, let's say you only invest $500 in, let's say, Apple. You can afford, in a sense, to lose the $500 or back out of it if the stock starts going down. Why? Because you don't really have a whole lot invested in it. Whereas if you have $100,000 invested in this, now you're not as quick to try to abandon. You're like, no, I have too much money invested. You are going to try to do whatever you have to do in order to preserve the integrity of said stock, because there's a whole lot to lose. When there's nothing to lose, if the stock goes down, it's like, oh, well, hey, you win some, you lose some, you move on. And children, is that $100,000. Children are that $1 million that you have invested. You can't just walk away now, just willy-nilly and be like, hey, I'm done, whatever, kick rocks and and keep it moving. You now have to say, well, wait a minute. Just because this relationship is over, these children still need a family structure. Regardless, they still need it, because if that structure is not given to these children, they're simply going to be raised with the understanding that you can simply abandon ship at whim. And then the cycle repeats. They become adults, they get they get husbands, they get wives, and in their minds, it's the same process. It's, oh, as soon as things get rough, okay, I'm out. I don't care about children, whatever, I'm gone. And again, I just think that we have to redefine these concepts, the concept that, and make it very clear that the children have nothing to do with the divorce. The two individuals who are divorcing, they're simply divorcing on their portion of the relationship, of them two, into their interpersonal relations. This has nothing to do with parenting, or whatever. And I think that's one of the mistakes, one of the most critical mistakes that we make, is that we take this all or nothing attitude that if it's going to be a divorce, then everything is finished. And we see it happening all throughout, Hollywood, entertainers, sports, sports figures or whatever, musicians or whatever, where the divorce is like this finality, and it's whatever. And it's like, no, it doesn't end the family. It only means that our relationship, our interpersonal relationship, is done. We're done. And I think a good example of that briefly is that Tyler Perry movie, and some of his least selling movies are some of his best stuff. That movie, Why Did I Get Married? Where the brother Michael Jai White, his character, has this dialogue where he got angry and he's talking to his baby mother and his wife, and he was like, and his whole platform was like, he told his baby mother, he said, listen, he was like, we are done. He was like, now we have to have a relationship because of these children.
Right.
But our relationship is over. Don't call me if it has nothing to do with these children. Don't call me. Don't come to my job. Nothing. And I think that part of the movie was very, very critical and is very overlooked, because he just laid out the platform of what a divorce or what a separation of relationship is supposed to look like. Like, our relationship is done, but we still have to have a relationship because of the children. So he made that distinction so that now going forward, there's no, there's no confusion. We're not going to be sleeping together anymore. We're not going to go out. We're not going to be reminiscing on the good times, whatever. No, we are parents. We're no longer spouses. We have to make that distinction. And that's just one element. I'm only, it's well, we got plenty of time to talk more about it, but I just wanted to just put that out there, and
I think
I'm gonna yield.
I think education is the biggest thing for the children. I think we need to educate them on our failure, educate them on what we depending on, like what religion you might be a part of. If you Israelite, if you I mean, it's all connected anyway. Y'all know how I feel about that. But it's great wisdom, and like what the brother Abad was bringing out, and with the what we use as well, which we all use the same literature, in my opinion. But educating the children to break that cycle that you were speaking on. If we failed, which I failed, my goal now, which some of you all know, is to educate my children so they do not fail like I did. Lay down wisdom, things that is going to cause longevity in their future relationship, things to look for and avoid, things like that. I think that's the best way. Speaking to people that's listening in or that might not be in our, I feel like, Abad and myself, now take my situation. We have children. I'm guessing Abad, you have children. I think I saw some children in the back seat. Right. So, if you have children, I think that the best.
I got 3. I got 2 more boys with me to work.
There you go. And I guarantee, this sounds like an intelligent brother, that he's going to educate them on, or if he hasn't already, on, what to look for, what to try to avoid, because I'm sure him, myself, Tamar, does not want our children to go through this, go through what we have went through. We want them to have longevity in their future partnership or relationship. So I think the best thing to do, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say, the best thing to do that we can do is educate them away from society, first and foremost. That's the best thing we can give them. It ain't buying gym shoes. It ain't buying clothes. I mean, those are necessities. But the best thing I believe that I can do for my children is to educate them, and educate them on real family structure and away from society.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that. And the first education is good character. They hear what you say.
Yeah, bad. I'm not
You
sure.
ain't living that. I tell you, man.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you had disappeared for a little bit. I think you were going to talk on character.
Yeah. I was saying, I agree with the education, 100%. And I was saying the first part of that is having good character, and being a proper example, because we can teach them and tell them stuff all day, but if we're not doing that, that's what they're gonna follow. They especially children, man. They're more into.
Yeah, we having a hard time hearing you. But just stay tuned. I'm not sure if you're driving through the woods or what's going on.
Right.
But, but it's all good. But I love what you said.
Nah, I'm in the city. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay.
We good now?
It's just choppy. So I hear some of what you're saying, but some of it is getting chopped up. But I do like what you said about character. I think that's all we can do as parents, period, is to show our children. And I think even with that, like, the burden is not for us to be the almighty in front of them. I think that is another, like, that's what I struggle with a lot, is I'm an overachiever. Okay. So I feel like if I do something wrong, then I'm damaged my kids. You know what I'm saying? So I think even along that, being gentle with yourself, all of us being gentle with ourselves, to say that, yeah, we thought it was gonna be this, it's not that. Now what we gonna do with it? And I think the integrity is a part of that. The integrity is them seeing you fall and seeing you cry. I'm a big crier. Okay, I cry all the time. Okay, seeing you cry, seeing you fall, seeing you being sad and upset. Just so when it happens to them, then they are resilient. My job is to help teach my children how to be resilient, because life sucks. It's gonna be stuff that happens. You're gonna go through things, and if we in front of them crumble, then what hope do they have? Going back to the books that we read, it's cool to have the book in front of you, the Quran or the Holy Bible, whatever you subscribe to. But if you don't then show them what that looks like in real life, then what's the point? So I just feel like a lot of it, and I think the community, going back to what you said about the community is important. It's good to have people around us to encourage us, to listen to us, and to then say, well, you went through this, but get back up and keep moving forward. All those things are important, I think, when it comes to a divorce, and any issue that we would have that would come against our family, which I think is the ultimate thing, is to destroy our family. But if we know that that's the goal, when these things come against us, we don't have to be. We could be. The house can shake a little bit, but the foundation is sure. It's not gonna crumble, like no matter what. And that's we was reading earlier, and Paul did say that. So Paul and some of the lesbian reading, Paul was talking about that. So anyway, but yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
I just wanted to come in real quick and say, like, the brother is right, character. You know, we spoke on our previous shows. I just wanted to really put education first and foremost. I'll tell you why. You can have a person that has character. It's a lot of people with great character, but they don't have the knowledge on how to survive as a family, economic. They don't have, so I think all of it ties together. He's 100% right, because we spoke on that. But I can be a good person, have good character, but if I'm not teaching my children how to survive and navigate, I'll give you a perfect example. How many people do y'all know and you got husband and wife, they good character, great integrity, and they have children that turns to be teenagers and things like that, but society is over influencing them over the good character of their mother and father, and their mother and father don't have the education to educate their children on the ropes in regards to society. So I firmly believe wholeheartedly in the character. Walking this walk. If you're gonna do it, walk it. Y'all know that for a fact. But the education part, I believe, is very important. Whether it's through the literature of the Quran or the Torah, that's still education. You know what I'm saying? Because education can help mold and build your character as well. Once you know better, hence education, you do better. A lot of us, we got educated through the failures of our past marriage. So now we can educate our children on what marriage should be, even if we don't get married again. So
That's right.
The brother is 100% right. I want those that's listening to know I'm not against what he's saying, because anybody that has been following know I speak on that a lot as well. But I really feel like my mom good character, my father good character, but they didn't educate me where I'm at right now. I had to break that cycle myself on certain things. So now my job is to take what I'm learning, whether it's dealing with family or economic or law, because I study law, I know, and I'm going to educate them on that. So now when they get older, they don't have to go through some of this stuff. The brother has said, I forgot, you said something about, what did you say? I'll give a perfect example. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I want to get them to the point where they can create their own birth certificates. Or they can actually get away, and I'm not talking about no more stuff, although Moore's got some good knowledge on certain things as well. But I'm saying we are able to govern ourselves. That's what the Torah, that's what the Quran, that's what that stuff is for. That literature is real. It's not no fairy tale stuff. That literature is supposed to help us, navigate our lives in whatever system we are a part of. But we don't do it. Why? Because we're not educated. And with that, I yield.
I just wanted to say too, kind of going back to the issue of
and that I I'm sorry.
It was a delay. I guess it was a delay, y'all. Y'all both looking like, what just happened?
My fault.
Yeah, I didn't know what just happened. I don't know. But
because his face not moving. Your face just sitting there, man. Now it's moving. There you go.
Dang. Dang, my fault. Yeah. Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, no. What I was just gonna say is that that just going back to the issue of divorce, and even with understanding, what we all spoke about as far as, obviously the Most High is not, the Most High does not jump for joy when he when a divorce is occurring. But of course, the law of divorce was given because, of course, in the Most High's this is an understatement, infinite wisdom, he understood that, well, man also has free will. So, because he has free will, he might do some, him or the woman, they might do some bonehead things. They might jack up their relationships. They might do things that is insane or whatever. And nobody should have to be trapped in an insane asylum that we might call a marriage. The marriage might be an insane asylum. And so now if there's nothing but insanity going on in the relationship, there has to be some type of escape clause where it says, you know what, I can't do this, and I'm not going to do this. And one of the things that I think, one of the benefits, and if I can even use that term here, but I think one of the benefits of divorce, and divorce under the right context, and not just willy-nilly divorce, but under the context of I'm inside of an insane asylum and I need to get out of here, is that if there's children involved, the children are also going to learn a very, very important lesson, especially the boy, especially if you have a son, because the son is going to look at his father a little bit differently than a daughter is going to look at the father. You're teaching your son a very important lesson about life, and that is that you do not have to be trapped or compromise your integrity for the sake of holding together a facade. And I think a lot of times when people remain in abusive relationships, whether the abuse is physical, mental, even spiritual abuse, when people remain in these scenarios, the children are watching. And one of the things that the children that are now being taught is what? That it is okay to suffer for the sake of marriage. And this is something that our ancestors were not proponents of. They were like, oh no, there's not going to be any suffering. Now, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it in righteousness. We're going to do it the way that it's supposed to be done. But if we're going to if we're sitting here playing games and abusing each other, then no, we're going to end this. And it's very important that our children, like I think like Sister Tamar said, about it's important that they see these things and that they understand that no, you do not, and it kind of goes back, and I don't want to make this into a religious issue, but it kind of goes back to Christianity, because this is a Christian concept that has been taught to us in this hemisphere, to the point where we repeat this stuff as far as it's okay to suffer. No, don't get divorced. It's okay to suffer through a marriage. And it's like, no, it's not okay to suffer through a marriage, especially if there's opportunity for the person to depart from that madness and get on with the life that they're supposed to be leading. So to suffer through something,
that's right.
That's insanity. Now, I'm not saying that a person should not do everything that they can to preserve the marriage. I'm not saying as soon as the situation gets a little funny to get up out of there, give it a bill of divorce and be like, yo, I'm out. I'm saying no, exhaust all possible scenarios. Everything exhausted until it can't be exhausted anymore. But once it cannot be exhausted, once all avenues have been exhausted, you should be able to stick your chest out, give them that bill of divorce and say, here, sign this, please.
Mm-hmm.
Sign this. Let us go get a witness, out of the mouth of 2 or 3 to confirm anything. Get a witness, let them sign that as well, and have the reasons for the divorce listed in detail, so that now when you send the woman, or if she sends whatever the partition of the parties, now when they go off to possibly be with someone else, there's going to be an investigation.
It's a written record of it, yeah.
Right, because that, like, let's say if that brother was beating his wife, for instance,
yeah,
and he now goes to another woman and he's trying to court her, she should be able to investigate the matter and say, okay, yeah, oh, were you involved with somebody prior? Yeah. Oh, So you were divorced. Can I see your bill of divorce, please? I want to know why that divorce happened.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
So
yes.
then she could say, oh,
That's good.
like, oh, you were whipping your wife's behind every Thursday and Monday. What the hell? You know, and so now she can make an informed decision as to whether she even wants to consider courting this guy, and vice versa. If the woman goes to a man, the divorced woman goes to a man and says, hey, you know, when they want to get together, he should be able to say, yeah, I need to do a background check. I need to pull that bill of divorce. I want to know why you were divorced. And you find out, oh, you are a rampant whore. Okay. Like, no, we can't do that because I already know that that's what you do. And you're probably going to do it to me. No, thank you. I'm good. And so, and so the divorce proceedings, I think once you implement these cultural portions of divorce, the divorce becomes a very good situation because number one, the parties can part ways, amicably, understanding that, listen, it's not working, and why should we destroy each other trying to make it work and then destroy our children who are watching two grown people trying to make an insane situation work. That is insanity, and you're teaching your children that insanity is normal.
Absolutely.
And especially with daughters. Now, because again, we talk about sons, and as a man, naturally, that's my little man, whatever. But our daughters are in a more vulnerable situation because when we marry our daughters off, they are now placed in a situation where they may not have, depending on the culture, they may not have the necessary routes to take in order to get out of these marriages. And we're teaching them that hey, listen, you might get smacked up, you might get beat or whatever like that, but if it means having a marriage that's going to be financially viable for you, if he's providing a good, if he's providing a good lifestyle for you, then it's okay to endure abuse. These are the lessons that our daughters are being told, and that's why you have a lot of women who remain in these relationships because they've been told what, and by a lot of times by their mothers. Hey, I mean, we've seen plenty of movies that talk about this. That it's like, listen, you have to endure certain things in order to enjoy the comforts that this marriage has permitted you to have.
Crazy.
This is all insanity
Wickedness.
that we've inherited from our enemies. But this is not what our ancestors taught.
Even Islam says, if a father sees something, like if I had a daughter, so I don't have no daughter yet, if I know that my daughter is being beat on, you know what I'm saying, that it's the obligation for me to go and get my daughter, even if she's kicking and screaming. We no, you don't teach nobody, you know what I'm saying, that's okay. And that's a really serious topic as far as the children, man, because I came from a divorced household, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it made me very angry. Especially, the parents think one really bad understanding is that the parents think we don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? The children, we know exactly what's going on. We know is not only do we know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? We watching everything that's going on too. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, the parents talking to other people, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I mean? Like the events that's going on, the conversations, all that stuff, they think that we ain't hip to, that we ain't hearing. We hearing it. And they might not be explaining it to us, like you said, as far as the education part. So since they ain't explaining to us, now we talking with our little friends, you know what I'm saying, who don't know nothing. Or it might be people around, the neighborhood who might be a little older that have an understanding. Now they're giving us an understanding that might not be exactly correct, but it's somewhat similar to the situation. You know what I'm saying? So now we getting this education that's not beneficial. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So
there you go.
I see my mother I see my mother doing something, you know, like one thing that angered me was I used to see my father come to my mother and ask her multiple times, different times, you know, let's get married again. And the reason why they were divorced, it wasn't no bad blood between them or none of that. You know, it was because of another problem that we had. We're not honest with ourselves when we get married. A lot of times we're not honest with ourselves getting into a marriage. You know, and my mother had just became Muslim. You know what I'm saying? She was 19 years old. She found my father attractive, but the look that she was looking for at 19 was, you know, one of them hardcore thug type looking dudes. You know what I'm saying? That's what she was in. She into that look. You know, my father wasn't upon that. My father was on the righteous path. You know what I'm saying? He was in college. You know, so he was real humble and you know, and reserved look. And she wasn't really into that. You know what I'm saying? But the pressure of them, they should get married. He's a good man, such and such and such. You know, so they got married, and she really wasn't into him like that. You know what I'm saying? So of course it didn't last. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm seeing my father every time he goes to pick me up from her or whatever, let's get married again. I'm seeing her say no. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing that. And I'm trying to understand, well, my father is the best, the coolest dude on the planet. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like I want y'all to be together. Why, you know what I'm saying? Why can't we have that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I'll see my mother get married. And when she gets married, the marriage don't even work. And I'm sitting here like, yo, you don't want to marry my father? You want to marry this cornball? Come on, man. Like, come on, man. This don't make no sense. You know,
Right.
I'm seeing my father, he's celibate. He was celibate for 12 years.
Wow.
Man. He was to himself till he married. Yeah, till he married my stepmother. You know what I'm saying?
It's beautiful.
And now I'm in a situation. Yeah, it is, man. All strength to him, man, because I couldn't last that long. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real, you know. But
You, boy.
so now you add another dynamic, right? You getting married to somebody else who he married a sister that was a virgin. You know what I'm saying? Real religious, everything. Don't know nothing about children and stuff until she has her own. Once she start having her own children, love you too. All right, go ahead, pick that stuff up.
Oh, hey. Sorry.
But you start having your own children, right? Now it's like the attitude that she had completely changed. It was like, these are her children. I'm that other child. And it wasn't even an intentional thing she was doing. It was like, it was a natural thing. Like, these are my children. They have 5 children together. I got 5 siblings from that. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I was the black sheep. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that automatically made me stay away. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was never home. And then, you know, my job, you know, growing up in Newark, New Jersey, you know, the block is right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I felt my family was. You know what I'm saying? And it really, man, I'm telling you, like, you don't pay attention to your children in that time period, you may lose them. You know what I'm saying? You may just lose them. And the education thing the man was talking about, I think the character and education thing is a double-edged sword because, you know, in Islam, the scholars say, the students of knowledge, they say that we all are constantly searching for ilm. Ilm is knowledge. But the first thing that you have to do in order to gain ilm is have good character. Mm-hmm. Because without good character, you can obtain the knowledge, but you may not apply it right. And you got a lot of people with knowledge, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they hold it. You know what I'm saying? But because their character is flawed, man, they do some real wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? They manipulate the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? They put themselves on a pedestal, like, you know, they just these, you know, godlike type people. Like, you gotta give them praise in a way. You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. You know what I mean? So I agree with that, man. I really believe that's like a double-edged sword because the education is very important. You know what I'm saying? And you got to have both. Now, you know, it's like you got to have both. And I mean, I'm looking at both of my children now. Me and their mother not together, but they got to understand in that, you know, just because we're not together, that has nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? Like we said, we always gonna work. Both love y'all. It was just something that didn't work with us. You know what I'm saying? That's all. And we give them all our undivided attention. Conversate with them all the time. We teaching them all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know, she's teaching them. You know, the thing she's teaching them as a woman. I'm teaching them how to be young men. You know what I'm saying? Like keeping the house. Right now, they picking up all the trash off the yard. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, that stuff is very important, man. And you know, they already have a chip on their shoulder seeing their parents not together. So our job is to make their lives easier. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot. You know, it really is. It's a lot. You know, and
That's right.
That's right.
that's my take on it. You know, from my experiences.
Yeah, and I want to say this conversation is like the vibrations and the fifth dimension is all working in this conversation because um so exactly what she was saying about your experience with the new wife. So I want to just go ahead and do a little segue into the remarriage portion of the conversation. Obviously there's rules around everything. Every covenant, every agreement, there are stipulations and rules around them. So as we think about, you know, getting remarried again with kids, what are some suggestions that we could share from our own experiences or not, or about what we've seen, into how we would enter into another covenant if the first covenant fell apart. So I'm not sure what to say about that.
Make sure your kids are
Man.
safe.
Go ahead.
Excuse that.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure your kids are safe, man. Because a lot of times, especially men, we see a beautiful face. You know what I'm saying? They happen to be upon the same belief that we in, and we just say, all right, well, you know, let's go ahead and do it. You don't know nothing about that woman's character, though, man. You know what I'm saying? She get around your kids, man, and she treats your kids like they just straight, just the dirt, you know, the dirt under the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like it's terrible, and I've been through it. You know, my ex-wife didn't even care if I seen my children. You know what I'm saying? And ain't somebody I want around my children. No, I don't want nobody around my children like that. You know, and if they have children, you know what I'm saying, see how they are with their children.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Cause I know what I do with my children. You know what I'm saying? I know I don't beat my children. You know what I'm saying? I may pop them. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the severity, but I don't beat my children. I talk to my children. You know what I'm saying? I'm patient. I'm not gonna have nobody do anything, you know what I'm saying, with my children that I don't do or their mother don't do. You know what I'm saying? And if I get married to a woman, you know what I'm saying, I'm expecting her to treat them as if they're hers. You know what I'm saying? Because if I was to marry one with children, that's how I'm gonna treat them. You know, if you can't do that, then you ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? That's just being responsible. But men and women, you know what I'm saying, we see somebody attractive, you know what I'm saying, might have some things together, you know, we want that. You know, so we'll say, oh, we'll deal with that when we get into it. Nah, get out of here. It ain't no deal with that when you get into it. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here with that. Now you acting like you a teenager. Man. Like that's not responsible. You know what I'm saying? Like our children are human beings. Literally, human beings that could not survive one day out here on their own. You gonna put somebody around them that could probably traumatize them for the rest of their lives? No, man. No. You know what I'm saying? Do your research, like you were saying earlier. do your research on who you're trying to marry. You know, in Islam, that's a definite. You know, if there was somebody that was divorced, there is a record of why they were divorced and what was going on. And as far as that person, you ask three people. You ask three people or more in the community about that person and their character, what you know about them, you know, things like that. And that's one of the times where it's okay to backbite in the religion in terms of marriage.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you know,
It's no secret.
all of that.
It's no secrets in Israel either. So you know, it's the same. Like you said, it's with the different rays. I dig that analogy because the same thing over here. Ain't no secrets. Secrets for what? If we in a tight knit community, how can you not know what's going on over here? You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no secret at all. And if you can't and are not willing to tell me what I need to know, then that's a flag right there. You know what I'm saying? All right, well, I'm gonna distance myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna tell you whatever you need to know. You know what I'm saying? If you want to marry, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you whatever you need to know because I don't want no surprises, and I don't have the time to waste. And my children only are children once. You know what I'm saying? They're only children once. That one time to traumatize their little precious brains, you know what I'm saying, is all it takes. I ain't having it. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been through it already. You know what I'm saying? I've been through it, and I've seen people that's been through it. My job is to protect my children, man. I'm not having it. You know what I'm saying? Just not having it. And you know, we just got to follow the protocols, man. You know, the book tells us, man. The book tells us. The Lord tells us very clearly. Are we gonna pay attention to it though? You know what I'm saying? Are we gonna you know, apply it to our lives? That's really what it comes down to. And if we ain't gonna do that, then maybe we need to go and learn our religion a little more.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's really all I got to say with that.
Well, no, I feel man, it's crazy what both the brothers brought, Chief Zebulon and Abed. I think the issue, even see, this is why now understand what I mean when I say this, man. I always had a thing for Islam. Like I love the structure. I love the unity. I feel like us as Israelites, it's there. And I know Chief Zebulon know more than I know because he's been in it for so long. But just what you brought out, Chief, with the whole the record of the bill of divorcement. I know about Torah is there. We should have it, but I'm not accustomed to that who I've been around. You know what I'm saying? And then the brother right here just brought out that they have that as well. I feel like, man, and y'all know how I feel like as far as with Islam and Israelite, like the book is, you know what I'm saying? It's the same family in my opinion, you know, as far as like the structure and things of that nature. But it's just, I've always saw, and this is going to go into the divorce and the marriage, by the way. I think if you hold your character is right and you hold fast to your religion, just using that terminology, I think that it will be a lot smoother. You know, if you with your character and you actually applying these things, it'll be a lot smoother. And the things that y'all mentioned, like that can limit a second, a third divorce by having that record. Okay, this is what this person is about, this and that. Now here's a flip side to it though. Now comes a case of, okay, if you do have that record, right? I'm changing the subject a little bit, but I just want to say this regardless. Do you go plainly off of that now? Could this person has changed? And I guess that's when you go within a community like y'all was talking about and ask questions, more so see what their character been like since their divorce. You know what I'm saying? The bill of divorcement took place. So, I mean, all this stuff y'all was saying, it's some good stuff, man. I just wish that in our community, And maybe it is. Like I said, I'm not around a lot of Israelites where I'm at. You know, you got the IOG in the city, but I'm not really because of character. I'm big on character. The people I'm talking to and dealing with now, you all, I like you all's character, and I'm just I don't see that a lot. You know, so
You want a hug? Come on, let's do
I
it now.
want to
Come
hug.
on, come on, come on. Let me.
I mean, I'm
Let
telling
me.
you, man, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing this walk alone, man. I'm telling y'all, if I wasn't doing this with y'all on Shabbat, I literally am doing my journey alone. I'm gonna end up like the brother, his pops. You know what I'm saying? 12 years strong and man,
You better go ahead and find you a Zouge, man. Find you a wife, man. Don't do that 12 years to yourself. My father said all the time. See, my father's his fuel for being able to do that successfully was a goal. You know, his goal was he was trying to get the family back. You know what I'm saying? So that was his vision. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that I can understand that. You know, because if you got a vision on something, nothing else is going to distract you from that.
right.
But he said that was probably the worst 12 years of his life, man. He'll never do nothing like that again.
I
You know what I'm saying? Because I came to him, man. You know, I was talking to him recently because, you know, I've been to myself for a year. And I'm just like, hey, daddy, man, you know, it's real out here. You know, he laughing. I'm like, I'm serious, man. Like, I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't know what to do, you know. And so he'll motivate me, you know, give me some stuff and we'll read. And then I'll read, you know, from the Quran. And, you know, that'll be my fuel right there. You know, I'll fast Monday and Thursdays, you know what I'm saying? And I'll constantly be reading. And that helps out, you know what I'm saying? And, until I find somebody, you know, because I'm not just picking anybody. And that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? And that, man, that's a huge thing in the Islamic community, and I'm sure it is, you know, just across the board. A lot of people just get married to get married.
Yeah.
You know, just because they married. You know what I'm saying? They know you can't fornicate. You see this person, so you think, oh, well, this might be a good situation. So, you know, hey, let's just go ahead and do it. A month later, we want a divorce.
It's definitely an issue of convenience. I think a lot of times marriage, it's more of, you know, not only the necessity, because we all want to have families, we all want to, you know, I mean, you know, well, at least the heterosexual people, we want to build families, we want to have children, we want to, you know, do what we do, and so a lot of times we get married not only out of necessity but also out of convenience, and it's from both genders. You know, the man might feel like, hey, listen, man, I don't want to be celibate forever. I don't want to also be chasing no half-tails in the street or whatever like that. So let me find a woman who's on some level is a good woman, and I'm gonna rock this out. We're gonna ride this out, and vice versa. The women see the men, and they're like, I'm just gonna find a decent man and just pray that it works out or whatever, because we want that, that feeling of of having a companion. Nobody wants to be lonely. There's nothing wrong with being alone, but loneliness, there's no cure for it other than companionship. And I could go into some other things, but what I wanted to do real briefly, I know that the brother Isaiah wanted to bring something out. I don't know if he's still on the I don't know if he's still online or whatever, but I just wanted to have the brother come in and lay out the platform that I think he was going to try to lay out earlier in this video. I don't know if he's still available. I'm waiting to see the
You talking to me? I just came back. Are you talking about Isaiah or me?
Oh no, I'm talking about Isaiah.
Okay, I just walked back. My bad.
Okay, yeah, he might. I don't know. Either he's oh, there he is. All right, cool.
You eating, boy?
Oh, that's what it was. See, that's that spirit of Esau. See, for a morsel of bread, brother.
All right. I have to step away for a second.
No, it's all right. Good. It's all good, bro.
No. Yeah, man, y'all made some good points from, you know, I step in. I think you were talking about loneliness, so I'm going to try to make this real short and sweet because I don't want to take away from the flow of the video so far. But man, a few moments back, Zeb, you had made a good point. I think it was either you or a bad actually that had our y'all tag team that made a good point about protecting the kids and character. I think Shema had said education and the combination of education and character being a good way to do that. The point that I had wanted to make a while ago, I have since lost. So it's gone now. It's gone. But what I will say is, first of all, a bad. I didn't know your pops was celibate for 12 years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What?
you know, tell him I give him a big salute to that. Tell him I said hello, by the way, because I haven't talked to that man in quite some time. For
Yeah.
those who don't know, me and the bad have been friends since like freshman year of high school.
Yeah. Oh nah. Over. Way past 10 years.
Yeah, we've been friends for quite some time. So he knows a little bit of the inner workings in the headspace of Isaiah. But
Mhm.
that's no need to mention that. But so it's important, man. This topic is really good. I know the brother has dealt with some things. I'm quite sure he shared some things on here. But we're dealing with the aspect of being remarried and dealing with loneliness, I presume. And I will say, I know exactly what that feels like. I mean, as far as being separated a little bit and being to yourself.
Me too. Me
Me
too.
too.
Come on,
Me too.
let's hug again. Come on, let's come closer. Come on, let's do it.
And I mean the whole act of celibacy too. I mean, I'm quite sure we've all.
Well,
Oh man, now I'm gonna be the one cutting this thing, right? But no, it's definitely important, and I don't know, y'all probably already hit it, but the aspect of knowing who you're going to deal with and getting to know who you're going to deal with. I seen on Facebook, um, the brother Karim made a comment to the similitude of I'm not going to use the words he used because I don't know the woman that he is talking about, but it was a woman who he didn't have such great dealings with, long term short, and he linked it to not really knowing her. And we've talked a number of times on the aspect and the importance of knowing who you're dealing with and kind of somewhat the steps to get to know somebody. And if we haven't hit it, we're going to hit it soon. But it's important that we take that time. And Abad, I'm not sure how much you shared, so or if you talked about your situation with your ex-wife. So I'm not gonna share much. That's for you to speak on. But I know a lot of relationships didn't necessarily go the distance that we want them to go because we kind of jumped the gun before taking that time and thinking, is it the best option? I know you talked about your mom and your father's relationship, Abad, and you said your moms and your pops had different ideals or different mindsets on what relationships were and what they wanted out of a relationship at the point in time that they got together.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying right. I was
Okay,
listening.
cool. So I'm looking at it like this, and I've never been married. You could kind of say I was engaged almost to a degree, but that's a long shot. I'm not even sure if I can necessarily say that. But what I will say is putting that stuff out on the table. You know what I mean? As far as remarriage, I like the fact that I remember now my point has gotten back to me that I wanted to kind of chime in on. Zeb has said these bills of divorcements that we're giving and receiving and remarriage aspect, putting that out there on the table. That we talk about again. I have to say, I think I'm repeating myself now, but the ability to present yourself to someone, and that's a very noble and necessary thing, I would say, for anybody who's getting in a relationship or left one relationship to another one, because it gives that other person the opportunity to see who you are. And it gives that person the opportunity to make that decision if they want to be with you. And I mean, I understand we learn from mistakes and we change some things, but how can a person adequately know that we're making those changes unless they know where we came from?
Oh, we.
So
Indeed.
I like that point that you made, and I'm glad it came back to me. I just wanted to salute you for that. And I think all of that is encompassed in that whole getting to know and understanding who your partner is. And I think once we take time to develop strategies to do that and not go into relationships, because we go into relationships with the aspect of fun being the forefront. And y'all know I'm not going to jump into what fun could be, because fun could be a lot of things. I'm gonna let the audience delve into that, but y'all know what I mean. We go into relationships with that understanding of being first, and we don't look at the economical. We don't look at the long term. We don't look at if we want to be with this people or this person. We don't look at if there's children involved, what's the ramifications of them. I'm not saying you have to go with who your kids like, but as Abad said, watch how they are around your children. Watch how they are around their children, and even watch how they are around other family members' children, because there's those interactions can give you a building block to see, okay, this is how he's going to act with mine, or this is how he's going to act if I had children. And if it doesn't, it at least give you a talking point to say, well, I noticed you did this with such and such. Why, how, and what was your reasons? Did that make sense? Why did that make sense to you? So this way you can get the psychology of that person and understand why they made the decisions that they made. As Abad said, he doesn't beat his children, or he doesn't use that type of
I beat mine. No, I'm playing. I'm sorry.
Hey, I think it's good to have a healthy rotation of conversation and hands. That's all I'm saying.
Word.
Indeed.
Conversation in hands is key.
Yeah. Don't get it messed up. Okay. When I say beat, I ain't just on all the time. Just because my father, I come from, don't you do that. I'm okay. Don't say okay. That's where I come from. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I don't want to do that with them.
Beating syllables.
Yeah. All right.
And now when I look at my child, with the siblings I got now, he don't do none of that. And I'm like, what happened? He was like, sorry, you was an experiment.
He had to use one to figure it out. He had to use one to figure it out. But it's key.
My Jacob is a practice kid. I tell him that all the time. He's a practice kid. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. You know what I mean?
That's how my grandmother disciplined us. Like she beat in syllables. And
did I tell you?
Right, but her problem was that she had issues with grammar, so she used a lot of run-on sentences. So, didn't I tell you not to do that? Because every time I tell you, I go, oh my God. I just be like, just praying for death. Like, please just kill me. Let's just get it over.
Take me out. But no, so you see those things, and understanding their psychology can help better find out, so you ain't wasting time, his time, your family time, etc. Can help figure out, what y'all doing. I'd have met plenty of people who, I think we've all said this before, I mentioned this, met plenty of people who are, great, outstanding folk, good friends, you could sit there and talk to, get advice from occasionally, and learn how to turn them off when necessary as well, mute them. But all in all, that don't necessarily mean you need to be in a relationship with them. And sometimes it takes not putting fun first. Sometimes it takes stepping back, as from an artistic standpoint, stepping back and looking at your work as you're completing it to see what that finished product is going to be.
That's some Hebrew metaphors. I see what you did there. I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I know we only got like a few more minutes. I'm gonna yield, and I'm gonna let you guys get to your point.
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes left or so. So I don't have anything else to add. So I'm gonna yield to who we haven't heard from in a while speak. Maybe Shamal or Chief, if y'all wanted to.
I'll go ahead and close it out. Say my closing remarks as far as divorce and remarriage. My advice for those that have never been married: take your time, get into your literature, whatever quote unquote religion you're a part of, because these are ancient Near Eastern literature of wisdom. Literature, or I was about to say how you say it in a plural form, but of wisdom, man. So really dive into it, learn how to strengthen your character, because the literature actually will help strengthen your character if you allow it to. Again, these are for those that haven't been married, and those that have, before getting remarried, do it. Go back into it, like the brother said. I forgot your exact words, but you said something about like something along the lines of relearning your religion or something along those lines. Like maybe you need to dive back into it, see what it is that you might have done or might not have done, so you could be a better man or woman for your future wife and or husband and children or family. So that's it, man. Peace to all of y'all that tuning in now or that might tune in later. Shalom.
And just as a brief statement, because again, we're obviously going to revisit this subject clearly, but I just want to be very clear, because I've had these conversations with people previously about divorce and things, and sometimes people get the impression that I'm gung-ho for divorce, and I want to be very clear that divorce, contrary to what many people think, divorce is not the ending of a marriage. It's only the escape clause for a marriage that has already failed. The divorce is only the acknowledgement that it's failed. And why are we pretending that there's life in it? It's a corpse. And so when we talk about divorce, people have a tendency to think like, oh, I don't understand how this happened. Oh, yeah, he wants to divorce me. Like, oh, no. The marriage has already ended. It ended years ago, or it ended months ago. The divorce is only the legal acknowledgement that we've both thrown our hands up and we realize there's no more life to breathe into the body. And so I support divorce for the purpose of ending lunacy and insanity in a relationship, but I don't believe divorce should be used as a cop-out for issues that could easily be fixed if we put our minds and hearts to it.
That's right. That's right.
And and as Buckwheat would say, that's all I have to say about that.
Absolutely.
I like to say in closing, saying also, we have to in Islam we have a prayer called istikhara. You know what I'm saying? And istikhara is pretty much a guidance prayer
Beautiful
where
prayer.
when we're trying to make a decision, yeah, it's very beautiful prayer. But when we're trying to make a decision, we give it to Allah, and He gives us the answer. And the way it works is, you know, you're pretty much saying, you know, Lord, if marrying such and such or doing this is good for me, then bring it to me. You know what I'm saying? And make me content with it. And if it's bad for me, then keep me away from it and keep it away from me and bring me what's good for me and make me content with it. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I think a lot of us, you know, keep our Lord out of it. You know, we kind of just move. You know what I'm saying? You know, we think. You know, so I think the first thing is, you know, take it to your Lord, then act on it. And if you see obstacles constantly coming in between everything, you know what I'm saying? And you most likely getting your sign that it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you do that and everything is going like a breeze, I mean everything is just checking out, no problems. It's just going with the flow perfectly. You know what I'm saying? Then alhamdulillah, that's probably good for you. That situation is probably good for you. You know what I'm saying? Do not ignore what you don't like. You see some things or you're hearing some things that you don't like, don't say to yourself, hey, well, we can work on that when we get no. No. You know you don't like it. The person is firm on who they are. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't going you're not meant to be with everybody that you meet. You know what I'm saying? No, this is the fact. So don't ignore your personal feelings. Be honest with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And don't be selfish either. You know what I'm saying? Don't be selfish. Don't ignore what they're telling you. You know what I'm saying? And try to make something else out of it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody could be telling you, like in Islam, we have polygamy. You know what I'm saying? Person is sitting there telling you, I'm really not into polygamy. You're trying to convince them, you know what I'm saying, that no, well, you know, you never know how you feel you know, in the future and all that stuff. That may be, but they're telling you right now, look, I'm not ready for that. So if you plan on doing that and getting married, you know what I'm saying, I really don't want to get married. You know what I'm saying? Don't be selfish and ignore that and try to marry this sister. You know what I'm saying? Because you just asking for problems. You know what I mean? So you know, just be honest from the front. Always ask for guidance, and that's pretty much it on my end.
Indeed, man, this has been one of the best conversations we've had. We've had a lot, but this has been one of the best conversations I think that we've had. I appreciate everybody taking time. I appreciate you about jumping on and it's been a good confirmation on a lot of different ways, at least for me. So I appreciate that. So I'm gonna say a little commercial crap because that's what we do. Try to make have a little commercial, little business. So yeah, so definitely like the page, Facebook's Love Language the Roundtable. We also are trying to expand the audience, so we have a YouTube channel of the same name, Love Language the Roundtable. So this episode, we're gonna upload it to our YouTube page at some point, and then next Saturday we won't be on. We're gonna take a little break, but then we'll be back, most high willing, the next Saturday. So same time, 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, so pray you all have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week, and until next time, peace.
Shalom Obrako.
Take care, salams.
Shalom, shalom, lehitraot.